Greetings, 10th grade students. At this point in the personal project process, you've been working for some time to meet your final goal or create your final product. Along the way, you've been tracking your work in your process journal and updating your action plan to reflect your changing goals and processes. Now that you've met your final goal or created that final product, it's time to pull together all the evidence that you have of the work that you've done into a final report that will tell the story of your project. Today, we will learn about the guidelines for reporting on your project, prepare for your final meeting with your supervisor, while you work together to organize your materials and select evidence of your learning, and get information about how and where to submit your project in order to earn credit for your work. So let's get started. There are several purposes of the project report. First and foremost, the report is your chance to organize the evidence of your work into a narrative that is structured based on the assessment criteria. This is what makes it possible to assess everyone's very different projects on the same criteria. No matter what you did, you planned, applied skills, and reflected on your learning. And that's the focus of the report. Now, before you look at that chart and panic, I want to stress the second point on this slide. This report is your chance to present evidence of your process and learning. This is from your process journal, and it's work that you've already done. The reason why the page limit seems so long is because that evidence can take a variety of forms, and it may take up quite a bit of space too. Finally, the report is a chance to reflect on what you've learned and how you've grown during the process. In looking at the chart, you'll notice that the report allows you to submit a combination of up to 15 pages of written content or 10 minutes of video and audio content and 5 written pages. In order to make a decision about what format to choose for your report, you need to consider the evidence that you have of your learning process. Throughout the process, you've been documenting what you do in several ways. Structured journal assignments, which you've been submitting on Canvas since October, informal records of your work, which you've been maintaining in your process journal, and reflection questions, which you've been documenting after meetings with your supervisor. This is the evidence that you'll submit along with your explanation of the process. If you've saved it all in your Google folder, then you're all set. The linked chart on the right-hand side of the page shows the different stages of the process and what kinds of evidence you might have collected of the work that you've done. Pause now to review this chart and consider what evidence you have of your own process. The chart is also included in the reflecting module of your personal project classroom. Welcome back. As you can see from that chart, there are many ways that you can show your learning throughout the personal project process. I hope you're thinking of the work that you've already done that will meet these needs. With that in mind, let's talk about how to organize the written report. Like I said before, the report is organized based on the project assessment criteria. You began by planning your project and setting forth a learning goal, which you refined throughout the process. And then you developed an action plan to help you achieve that goal. Then you applied your approaches to learning skills in order to achieve your learning goal and create your product. As a reminder, the approaches to learning skills are your learning how to learn skills. Throughout the process, you've used these skills to achieve your learning goals and create your product. In your report, you'll choose skills that you used and how you did so. In your unstructured journal entries, you have evidence of many of these skills. You should choose to highlight the ones that you're most proud of and that you feel you've used to the greatest effect. You should also include evidence of your final product and discuss how you've used your skills to create it. Here, at the end of the project, you're reflecting on the successes and challenges of your final product and learning goal. This section of your project report should also focus on how you've personally learned and grown from this experience. This is a great place to focus on how you dealt with both the things that went your way and the ones that went wrong along the way. At the end of your report, you will also include any evidence that didn't fit into the body of the report itself. This would be the place to include anything that was too long or awkward to include in the body of the report. If you click on the links below, they will take you to the Reflecting module of your Canvas classroom, where you can view a sample student report, make a copy of the Google Docs template of the report, which includes instructions on what to include in each section of the report, and a rubric that's used to assess the project. As you begin to work on the report, it's a good idea to review the rubric in order to make sure that you earn credit for all the work that you've done. You can click on the image in this slide in order to view the rubric. As we've discussed, the report allows you to take your work and organize it into a standard format used to assess the work. So even if you have all the evidence already, the written or oral part of the report is your chance to tell us what you learned along the way. To reach the highest levels of the rubric, you need to provide detailed explanations of your process, which are aligned with the evidence you select. As you work, look carefully at the rubric. Use the report template to help guide you as you write and add evidence. Before submitting your report, make sure that you delete the parts of the template that provide instructions. There's a very large reminder of that in the template itself. So what's next? Today, you should review the materials on the report that are on Canvas. You should update your action plan if needed and make a plan to complete your final product, meet your final goal if you haven't done this already. You should plan to meet with your supervisor to organize your materials on Friday. You'll work together to select the evidence. Projects are due on Friday, March 18th. If you need more time, you should discuss this with your supervisor. Your third quarter grades will reflect whether you've completed the project at that point or not. Canvas assignments remain open throughout the semester. At lunch on Friday, you'll be meeting with your supervisor. You should bring all of your materials to this meeting. If you've finished your final product, bring evidence of this to the final meeting with your supervisor. During this meeting, you should complete your personal project academic honesty form, which is a CAMI assignment on Canvas. Your supervisor can add their final comments later. You can leave the last 4 digits of the student number on this form blank. We'll fill this out later if needed. If you need help along the way, your supervisor is there to help. You can also stop by the IB office at lunch and check in with Ms. Clarkson if you have more questions than your supervisor can answer. Congratulations on all of your hard work on the projects. You're almost finished.